All right. Hi guys. So good morning. Let's see if this thing is working. Let me check it out. I need to make sure that it's live. 1 second. All right. I need to make sure that it's live. 1 second. Okay, let me boom. Okay, so I think we should be live. So let me forward it to the whales. Okay, good. All right. So let's wait for others to join. We may potentially need to somehow cut it out. Aye. Because the introduction sometimes takes 5 to 10 minutes while we're waiting for people to join as well. Okay, good morning. Can you guys hear me? Please write it down in the chat. If there's sound. There are some things to discuss. And while I'm waiting for a couple of people to start watching us, let me write down my agenda. But it's a lot of things to discuss, as usual. All right. Can you guys write if you hear me, please? Can somebody put in the chat if there is sound? I will highly appreciate it. Okay. Nobody's writing. That's not helpful. You should, please. Good. Okay. You guys can hear me, right? Hi, Mark. So let's do something. Perfect. Thank you. All right. So let's go. So there are a couple of things to discuss. The first one is to think about what we just discussed with the two whales on the call. And this is regarding incentives for node operating. So if you are running a node and if you can bring people, do we need to give you incentives for you to invite other members? And what type of form can those incentives have? And this is a non-easy conversation because it requires both rewards and penalties. So let me share the screen. Yeah. So what we've been thinking about is, and we've been discussing it with whales, is there have been some ideas. So let's assume at this point of time we have 15 nodes. And thank you so much, whales, for running 15 nodes. I think we are working on the background with another 10 or 15 nodes at the moment. So it's like another 15 here. Plus the Ghost Council promised us about 50 nodes total, 50 to 60. So some members of in here are council members, some are not. So let's just kind of go like this, plus 50, 60. So we're looking at around 100. So 100 nodes it's not going to be, again, super easy. It's not going to be super difficult. It's somewhere in the middle, right? We may get to 80 nodes. We may get to whatever, 70 nodes. We may get to 120 nodes. And then the question is, do we need to really create additional incentives for other node operators to join? How will that work? Well, let's assume Prime can invite 20 members to run nodes, right? So 20 people here. Do we need to incentivize Prime to do that additionally? How does it work currently? I'll also show this in a spreadsheet. How does it work currently? Not approved, but it seems like it could be approved is, let's assume Prime runs a node, he gets 1,000 GMVs right away. Right? Now, if he stakes, let me just rewrite it, GMVs, right? Now, if he stakes, and he will be staking on the testnet phase, let's assume it's 30% inflation. So now by the end of the term, let's assume it's going to be 1,300 GMVs. Cool. So now those GMVs are reflected in the mainnet. That's kind of the idea that we're thinking. Now, the people he brings, each one of them will also get 1,000 GMV if they run a node. And for them, if they also get through the inflation and therefore the staking rewards, they will end up with, say, also 1,300 GMV, maybe a little bit less if they start later. So the idea is to start as early as possible. The incentive typically for the networks is the earlier you start, the higher percentage of the inflation you receive. Right? So kind of the APY is dropping with time for Ethereum. Why? Before, the APY was 10%, let's assume. I actually forgot what the original number was for Ethereum. As more and more stakers join, now it's 3.8% or 3.4%, right? Something like this. So it's dropping because the amount of reward stays the same, but the number of stakers increase, thus the overall APY decrease. So that's kind of the function, right? So if you are to draw this function, it's going to look like this. These are the rewards right here. And then here are the number of stakers. And it's this type of function, right? Or it could be like this type of function. Or it could be this type of function. But in any case, that's some type of function like that. It could also be like this, right? Some weird function. And that's typically the incentive, if any, for people to join. Bitcoin had something similar. But it was again built in, right? So the hashing power was at first very tiny. So therefore you could earn a lot, like you can mine a lot. So for Bitcoin, if we also draw some type of line here, let's make it orange for Bitcoin. If this is hashing power, and this is required, and this is stakers, well, miners, it was kind of similar as well. So it was like that actually. So yeah, so actually maybe not, because we need to get rewards somewhere. Because yeah, it's like a 3D thing. It's probably not going to be able to draw it. But overall, originally not enough stakers. The reward was fixed at, I forgot. I think it was 50 Bitcoin originally as a block reward. Then it was 25. Then it was cut in half every single halving. So at first you could easily earn 50 Bitcoins, and the hashing power was so minimal you could have easily earned that as well. So there were no additional incentives to bring more people. People would jump just because there's reward. Now, there's also, then the question is, well, but Ghost is not listed anywhere, not on any DEX, not any centralized exchange, nowhere. So there's like, okay, fine, I can get, 10,000 GMV, but they're not, listed anywhere. So it's nothing. Well, for Bitcoin, it was the same. For Bitcoin, we need to separate between the two different phases, and let me put them out. Here, let me just erase everything. There have been two different phases on Bitcoin, and the same thing was with Ethereum, to be honest. So let me just erase this all. So the price origination for Bitcoin, if you go to different websites such as investing.com, etc., some of them quote the price origination for Bitcoin to be 2014. Bitcoin was launched 2009. So between 2009 and 2011, for example, it was just a movement. It was just a grassroots movement. There was no price origination. That's why it was sold for pizza. And then starting from year 2012, for example, whatever, I mean, I don't know the actual dates, but 2012 to 2014, that's where the price origination began. That's when the incentives started striking up, but the community was strong before. Without this original community of core believers, there would be no community here. Even if there was a price target, doesn't matter, because the price target will not be realized anyways. So let's assume the core believers here were 1,000 people. Chance of sight was around that Now here we had 10,000 people. Yes, they came to the price, but because of the 1,000 who maintained the network, the price origination point was created. So there were no additional incentive rewards. However, then the question that the two whales asked was, well, good question. Do other networks have any incentive for node onboarding? And to be honest, I don't think there is. Maybe there is from some third tier projects, but I don't think there's additional incentive for top tier projects, such as again Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. I think those have been happening naturally. And the reason why incentives need to be thought of super carefully is because we have, just recent examples, Starknet. Guys, they raised $230 million there. Look at their price. Hamster Combat, right? Who seems like they completely over-exaggerated their statistic. They said they had 200 million users, but then the wallets have been frozen for 300,000 people. So again, they claimed they have 200 million users. How come the wallets have only been frozen for 300,000? Like, these numbers just don't add up. We have in Ghost Airdrop, we have 60,000 users in the airdrop right now. So when we sent the message, 60,000 people received the message. And we're not Hamster Combat. We were pretty freaking close to them, right? So despite the fact that Hamster Combat had like massive marketing budget. Because again, incentives matter. And these are just recent examples. Do you guys remember STEPN? Do you guys remember the game? My goodness, they had a chain. Ronin Bridge was hacked. I keep forgetting the name of the game. But if you guys remember the name of the game, you tell me. Like, they also got, it was a poor tokenomics. Just poor tokenomics. So AXY or whatever. Like, I keep forgetting. Guys, if you can come up with that name in the chat. You definitely know what I'm talking about. The bridge then got hacked as well. So it was like, you just like crushed it. But it was like the pay to play, like the biggest pay to play. Everybody in Vietnam and Indonesia was playing those games. So again, those are just like some basic ones. You guys, from those of you guys who have been around 2017, 2018, after 2020, then they created the terms of staking and farming. Sure, those terms have been created, but they have been originated in the ICO era. Nobody remembers that. But the staking and farming it just didn't have those names. But it was essentially staking and farming, and those projects all freaking failed. Because, as I was explaining today to the whales, the additional like referral system, right, is oftentimes treated. CryptoBlades? No, not CryptoBlades. It was, my goodness. I think it's still on the first page of the CoinMarketCap. I doubt the liquidity is there. I think people still play those games. Not CryptoBlades. But you guys will come up with it. Maybe in the whales chat. So, but most people think that the referral system is an easy way to substitute hard work associated Axie Infinity. That's the game. Right? Also bad tokenomics. If you look at it, it was like totally unsubstantiated staking. So there was no basis. Like, they would just raise the supply without ever increasing the backend. And that's why Ghost DAO is special, or Olympus DAO was special, because they said, no, we're going to be over collateralized and stuff. Lots of people think that the referral system is a substitute for hard work associated with community building. And we need to really understand this. Community building. And community building is not easy. So we are reaching out. Cosmos is reaching out right now to some meme coins, and you guys should do that too, because there's a concept called mirror swap. Maybe we should cover it at some point of time. Maybe today even, like what that mirror swap is and what the idea is, and you guys will get referral rewards for actually bringing this project. But when going through these meme coins, some of them have $1 million capital market capitalization. Some of them have 5 million market capitalization. Of course, liquidity is nothing, like maybe $1,000 on the day. Fine or not, whatever, it doesn't matter. And of course, I'm looking at the meme coins on CoinMarketCap on page 10, on page 9, but they do have market caps of, again, 1 million, 5 million, etc. So the project is supposedly 1 million. But the problem with like when we are checking these communities, lots of them don't have a community. They don't have a Telegram group. They have a channel. Then you look through the Telegram group. You have 100 users in the group. You have 300 users in the group, and that's a general group. Our general group is 10,000 people. How many of those 10,000 people are active? Let's be real, right? And our community has not purchased any users. Not a single dollar is spent on a user acquisition. Conversely, other projects did. So if the quality of our conversion is what it is, imagine what is the quality of conversion for these other projects who just simply went ahead and purchased users. And go through those meme coins again: 100 users, 300 users, 500 users in the general group. So how many actual users? Maybe 5, maybe 3, maybe 1 user actually, right? So that's the situation, and those are meme coins. Now, we've done similar analysis back in 2020, same situation. At that point of time, there have been some prevalent networks or prevalent projects, Chainlink amongst others, Anchor amongst others, some others. I have all these spreadsheets somewhere. It was a similar situation. Maybe you have 40,000 members in the group, in the Telegram community. How many of those have been actually active? Same situation. Not much, not many. And unfortunately, in the last 3-4 years, because VCs came to the game and fucked it up for all of us, they removed all the fun and removed all the creativity and innovation. And therefore now the space is just stale. It's a freaking swamp right now. Outside of very few gems. So because of all these VCs now, we have more and more. Oh, when listing. Oh, when token. When whatever TGE. So stuff like that, right? So they don't care. The community members don't care about the vision. They don't care about the project. And what happens is, especially now, it's super challenging. Like, kind of referral systems worked magic before 2020. Before 2020, my goodness, because there was hope. There was hope from retail investors that we could crush the fucking banks. We could crush these fucking hedge funds. The central banks need to go to hell. Centralized exchanges go to hell. That was the promise. Now, good luck with that notion. Now, good luck with this. Now, for some reason, Coinbases of the world, Binance of the world are so institutionalized. Now, those are, your best friends. Right? It was not like that before 2020. Trust me, it wasn't. It really wasn't. So while before 2020 the referral systems worked magic because you could actually bring real users who wanted change, now with all this different situation, those same referral systems are actually just a substitute for community building, but it's a very poor substitute unless the referral system, the referral kind of architecture is thought through fully. Because community building, it became a lot more challenging. Currently, there are fewer retail users with money. The situation economically across the world became really, really, really bad, and it's going to get worse because of the inflation globally. So there's going to be inflation in the dollar, and there's going to be inflation in other currencies. You guys globally see already prices went through the roof, salaries didn't. So unless you had assets, and unless you participated in the upside of the assets, that is completely inflationary, because gold is up 25% this year. So if you are looking at the stock market, which is up 20%, the stock market is actually down this year. In gold terms, it's actually down 5%. You look at treasuries at 5% in the US versus gold. Therefore, you losing 20% of the purchasing power this year in treasuries. Like, it sucks. It sucks for all of us, right? If you look at some emerging countries, BRICS, or the Middle East, or the Europe even, in gold terms, we are getting fucking crushed. Inflation is through the roof. And retail people just don't have money. And that's why, everybody just wants to make quick buck. They want to come to a project raised by VC, funded by VC, want to get the token, sell it immediately, earn a little bit of money, and try to invest in a fucking meme coin. Because that's the only way. And that's a logical, rational thought for people with no savings, right? But we just have to understand it. So therefore, the times changed. And because the time changed, we need to adjust. We need to adjust to the fact that the only way how a project is going to survive and grow and nurture is through vision-based community. That's it. And as one of our council members mentioned correctly, most blockchains out there just don't have any identity. They have identity crisis, and that's I personally spoken to maybe 40, 50 blockchains right now, at least, probably maybe even more. I mean, there's zero differentiation on why I would have those blockchains are treating themselves as a product. We are a product. Outside of Bitcoin, which is a movement, Ethereum is a movement, Cardano is a movement, Tron is a movement, even Tron is a movement. Whether you want this or not, Bitcoin, Satoshi Vision, BSV is also a movement. Good movement or bad movement, it's a movement. Right? So by Craig Wright. So Bitcoin Cash by Roger Ver is also a movement. It's a movement, right? So, but we have less and less of that stuff. Like we just don't have it anymore. And vision-based is very complicated because vision-based depends on educational content. So Federal put this today in the Wales group, and thank you so much. It's all about education, fully. Education will probably be 90% of the result, and 90% of the result means what? It means in 90% of the importance is for you to understand the vision and the product line and the tech and how the tech supports the vision, and then go ahead and try to communicate, if you want to your friends, to your peers, to your network members regarding essentially regarding whether they want to join this or not. And this project is not for everybody. Ghost is not far from everybody. Like, it's not Solana, it's not whatever, the sold out MakerDAO turned into Sky. Like, it's not one of those, right? It's not where you just buy and hope for the upside and that's it. That's an investment for you. That's like a stock. No. Web3 was always supposed to be an economy. Always. Right? We keep forgetting that Web3 is an economy where users of this economy are funding its economy. That was the whole point of ICO. Users of the economy are funding the economy. Such a simple concept. That's why it was so genius, right? And that was the ICO era. That was the whole point of it. Yeah, there were lots of scams, rug pulls, etc. But that was the vision, and people loved it, and we all loved it. And trust me, if we're ever able to get back to that, we'll be absolutely enjoying our lives and enjoying this time because we are able to make change. It just now is just a little bit more difficult, right? Because there are few retail users, so you have to do a little bit more to educate. So let me just go through the incentive mechanisms for inviting the nodes, right? Outside of what I discussed already with 1,000 GMVs for running a node, etc. So, and let me just discuss the pitfalls, and then what I would like you guys to do, and what I would like all of us in the Whales to do, is just to discuss additional incentive mechanisms. Maybe we're able to come up with something, right? So, currently, I'll present 3 ideas, and I'll present critique to it as well, and then again, that's a breathing and living discussion. It's not ending with this call. We really need to figure out. We need to either figure out an incentive mechanism, or we just proceed without it through organic growth. So obviously, option 0 is just organic growth. We had a call with Federal. He presented a number of ideas, which we also had ourselves. We discussed it together, and we came to a conclusion that organic growth is perhaps the best version to move forward, right? Because it just doesn't have the pitfalls. Okay, so that's option 0. Option 1, as far as incentives, let's assume we give users who bring other node operators a reward per node operator. Let's assume we do 500 GMV per node operator. The problem with that is this: somebody can come up, including the team, right? Because the incentives have to be correct for everybody, and the incentives need to be both rewarding and also penalizing. So if I bring 500 GMV per referral, right, what I can do, I can spun out 100 nodes on the server. I can get these 500 GMV per referral, and then the next second I pause the node. So I just got 50,000 GMV, and there are not a single node in the system. So that's the first kind of. So what do you do with this? There's not much you can do. The only way to restrict or to add the penalty to the system is by introducing some type of lockup period. And lockup period will be coinciding with node operation. So lockup period plus node operation over that period. So when we discussed it with Federal said, well, let's do it over the course of a year. When we discussed it earlier today with Prime said, well, let's actually do it for 5 years. Okay, so now here's the thing. Let's do it for 5 years. So you need to run the node for 5 years, and then it's like your gains are locked. But then how many users will be running stuff for 5 years? That's also challenging. That's a great idea. I actually like it a lot more. But just realistically, practically, how many people will be able to run the node for 5 years? It's very challenging. So therefore, what we have to do, we'll have to be offering some type of drips of GMV. So let's assume over the course of 5 years, you earn 10,000 GMV. And there's some type of function as well here, like this is lockup period, and this is GMV that you actually get unlocked. So it's like this, for example. So the more time you run in the node, the higher the reward. And when you decide to unlock your reward, that's it. Your exponential gain is over. So it's a one-time thing. You join the system, you run the node for 5 years, and you get this kind of exponential thing. Sure. What's the problem with this one? The biggest problem. The biggest problem with this is we're not looking for the nodes in isolation. Nodes in isolation means nothing to us. Because if we have million nodes and 0 transactions, there's no point. First of all, if there are no transactions, there are no gains. So then it's just inflationary, right? So because the block reward is supposed to be consistent of the block reward from the chain plus the transactions, right? Like the transaction fees. So if there are just nodes themselves in isolation, makes no sense. But if there's nodes plus transactions, okay, now it makes sense. But then how do we incentivize transactions? And we do have a way to incentivize transactions through Ghost DAO. But then we don't need, therefore, any outside incentive mechanism, right? So the goal is like, whether should we include the incentive mechanism or not on top of the existing ones? Currently, of course, we have. If you start running the node, let's assume 1,000 GMV for you just to have your minimum balance to start the node, plus the staking rewards. The sooner you join, the more rewards you'll get. Plus the staking rewards are kind of limited, right? So the more stakers there are, like if you are one of the earliest stakers, you're going to get higher rewards. So you're naturally kind of incentivized to join, right? So those rewards, that stuff obviously exists. But then the question is, do we create something extra? And then the third thing was actually introduced by Cosmos is, okay, fine. Instead of lockup period node operation, let's just have a TVL. So let's assume you brought lots of people, you earned 10,000 GMV as your referral rewards. But you can only get access to this 10,000 GMV if you commit some TVL to Ghost DAO. Proportional or not, I don't know, $1,000 or whatever, proportional to the 10,000 GMV. Now, mind you, at that point of time, GMV could be worth $50, right? Not a financial advice, we're not a security token, we're a utility token, but the price determined by the DEX, which is backed by the treasury, could be $50 per token. So now 10,000 GMV, that's $500,000. How much money are you willing to commit to the TVL to get access to $500,000? So that's another thing, but then Prime said, well, listen, TVL, not a lot of people have TVL. A fair point. So these are some discussions we have in regards to should we bring additional rewards for node operators or not. And the most important thing that we all need to remember that the nodes themselves are not sufficient. We need to make sure they're also transactions. Okay? So this is a discussion for us to have in the whales. Please engage this discussion. There are no bad ideas there. When thinking about frameworks, it will be a lot more fruitful if you come up with both rewards and also penalties. Because not a single system is perfect. Every single system has issues. There are definitely some ways to abuse the system. Therefore, there have to be some type of penalties. Maybe it's a lockup period. Maybe they have to put TVL as penalty. Right? TVL as penalty, that's like essentially a way to penalize, right? Like you have to put something to get something, right? Lockup period is also penalty, right? So there's some penalties, right? So think about penalties, think about rewards, and it would be nice to discuss it. Okay, so that is the first point of discussion for us today. Now let's get back to this one Excel sheet that I shared with you guys before on a previous call, but now you're going to be able to see it. Beautiful. Okay. So this sheet will be shared with you guys sometime this week. We are expecting a new video to come out finally. So yes, we need to double down on the education. We have only 2 videos in the Ghost series on YouTube, so we need to add more and more educational series on it regarding what the Ghost network does, what it is, how it's different from other networks, what do we do, what type of problem are we trying to solve, what is the incentive protocol, like what is the tokenomics. So lots of videos, and they will start coming out again. So there are 2 tabs, and this sheet will be shared with you guys in the description of the YouTube video once it's published. So we went over this before, but let's just go one more time. So the validator nodes, right? The daily transactions and daily liquidity. So let's assume 100 validator nodes here, 1,000 daily transactions, daily liquidity of $5,000, whatever. So, and token supply at this point of time, 14 million, right? Okay, good. So we're looking at the price of $84. Of course, that's a disclaimer, not investment advice. All these values are based on total statistical parameters based on history, right? So that's not representing the past. And that applies not just to Ghost. You can go ahead and put your metrics for any chain of your choice. You want to invest in Cardano? Look at Cardano. Look at how many nodes they have, how many transactions, what's the liquidity, what's the supply. You'll get the price, the real price, the fundamental price of the Cardano token, and also the fundamental market capitalization. It will give you an idea whether your network of choice is overvalued or undervalued. But those are the fundamental benchmarks. So, okay, that's cool. That's there. Another sheet that has been added is this one, right? So you are running a validator node right here on the network. So currently we have 15 nodes. Let's assume you bring another 15 as you as a referrer. So you bring another 15 to the network. So now let's assume you have 1,000 GMV earned, plus you get another 1,000 for running a node. Cool. So, like, kind of the incentive here goes like this. If you had you not invited those 15 users, had it been just kind of, well, nothing, right? Your value is before the invite and after the invite is the same, 25,000. How that 25,000 is calculated is 1,000 GMV plus 1,000 GMV times the price. And the price is based on how many nodes you have at the moment in the network total. That's a network effect. I'm not even talking about the incentive mechanisms from perspective of staking yet. That's just based on the valuation. Now, if you bring, let's assume 15 nodes, now all of a sudden your value changes. So before the invite, your value was 25,000. After you invited those 15 people, now it's 50,000 to you. But it's not just to you, it's proportional to everybody. Right? So this value is proportional to everybody. This extra like personal increase of 25,000 essential value. That's your personal thing, but you, by bringing people, you help yourself, plus you help the rest of the network as well. Because you just made the network larger. And the whole point is, okay, how many people can I bring? Like, because it's definitely my personal incentive, but by helping yourself, you're also helping others. And it's impossible just to help yourself. You have to help others. That's the beautiful thing. So that's why it creates such unity in our community ranks to make sure that we all working, on the same side. Now, and the people that you brought, they, let's assume, got 1,000 GMV, of course, for running the node as well. So they got 13,000 as well because you brought them in. So that's benefit for them to join, and that's benefit for them. That's benefit for them to join the network because they're gonna get it, and that's benefit for you from them joining as well because you got this extra 25,000 because you brought them up. So that's how this works. So what it brings, kind of like, then what needs to be optimized for you, right? Like, and those systems, by the way, already exist. They are definitely approved. This is what it's going to be. It's already there. So we don't need to approve a vote on this. This is already there. That's already built in. So what you need to think about, those 2 parameters for you personally, is how many nodes you can invite. Because if you bring 150 users, now you just earned $250,000 by bringing those users. You yourself. That's the first parameter. How many node operators can I bring? Second parameter is how many GMVs I have. Earn as many GMVs as possible. As many as possible. That's like, we've been keep saying this, but this is more prevalent than ever. we're gonna come up with a video. Like we do have a guide, we do have articles about how to earn GMVs, but we're gonna do additional videos about that, essentially just to kind of go over the article, because you really need to earn as many GMVs as you can, as many as you can. Don't forget that for liking and commenting on YouTube, the 3 winners will get 100 GMV each for the best comments. And then you can also do GMVs. You can earn GMVs by liking tweets. So you can get GMVs by inviting friends. We're gonna start resuming the swap sometime next week or the week after. So that's very important. We need to start re-energizing everything again. But that's important for you guys to bring notes, sure, but also earn as many GMVs as you can, please. We have a lot of referral systems already, both in the airdrop bot, also in JML. So that's very, very important. Okay. On this, let me pause quickly for a minute. Any questions here? Let me just read. Mr. Adike, good morning. It will be very helpful to have a video that explains this so we can share it with potential node creators. 100,000%. That is the next video. So so the video that will be shared sometime this upcoming week is already prepared. It's going to be on the valuation. It's going to be more on this sheet here, right here. And then the next video after that, the second video therefore will be on this. Yes, absolutely. With some charts, with some kind of schematics. Some of these charts will be added then to this Excel. And this Excel will be shared with you guys. So you'll be able to play with it. So you'll be able to change blue cells. And based on how you change blue cells, you see everything else. Right? So this sheet is already prepared. We just need to share it with you guys. And Mr. Adike, thank you. Yes, that's a very, very good point. Very good point. Okay. Any other questions, feedback? Because there's one more thing I would like to quickly announce. There's so many things to announce. And I need to time it because it's just too much information for you guys to comprehend potentially. Because it's just not information that I need to share, but we also need to follow through. So comprehension is easy, but following through will take time for all of us. So I'm not sure if I'm able to share this. Maybe I will. 1 second. Well, actually, I probably can't. I probably cannot share this tab. Okay, let me just go back to my face then. Okay, so when you guys go to the Ghost Whales group right now, some of you, and can you please click, like when you go to the Ghost Whales, click on the group and scroll down, and you will see something. Some of you guys already saw it. Some of you guys did not see it. So what's happening is, if you guys can do this, please, right now, just go to the Ghost Whales, just click on the group and look at the members. What you will see is some of the members have special status next to it. Where is the special status derived from? The special status is derived based on how many GMVs you have. So what you do, and we're probably going to prepare we're definitely going to prepare a guide sometime next week. Cosmos, if I'm not mistaken, sometime next week or maybe in the next 2 weeks. This is Cosmos' idea, and we all loved it. It's a brilliant idea. And then we ran this idea by lots of you guys, and you guys also said that it's a great idea. So we're like, oh, let's just move forward. So we will prepare a guide, and Cosmos, thank you so much. That's actually we should have done this before, to be honest. What we need to do, we need to create a more tight unity in the community. I'm not sharing the Telegram, but you guys will be able to see on your Telegrams, where every single user has a status and a level. Levels range from level 0, which nobody has, to level 25. There are only 25 levels. I'll share with you the levels in a bit. But essentially, there will be a guide how you submit how many tokens you have. So you need to go ahead, check your GMLs, and check your airdrop bot, and sum up how many GMVs you have total, both off-chain and on-chain, on all chains. So you take all chains together, you take the Telegram bot, you add it up somewhere in your private Excel spreadsheet, whatever, in your calculator. That will give you an impression of how much how many GMVs you have, which is like a good idea to know. And once you have that total sum of GMVs, you can submit it to us through the Ghost Airdrop bot. We may create a form. Cosmos is thinking maybe to create a form. You go on a website, you just type in how many GMVs you have, and it will give you a status, and then you'll kind of send us the status. But better, you will go ahead and you will send a message to the Ghost Airdrop bot with how many GMVs you have total. And what we're going to do, we are going to update your status in the whales. That's at this point of time only available to whales. There is two prerequisites. The first prerequisite is to message to the Airdrop bot how many GMVs you have. There's a second prerequisite to change your avatar. You need to change your avatar to one of the GMLs. Because what we noticed in our discussion, if you guys saw, the discussion has not been very friendly, let's just put it this way. Because we need to make sure that the discussion is super constructive and super to the point. And all ideas are welcome. And the ideas need to be, there could be high-level ideas, and these high-level ideas, if kind of debated, could go out. But ideally, you follow up with these ideas with additional, fundamental thought, with additional backing, some facts, because we don't have a lot of time, and we need to launch a lot of products, and we need to make sure the discussion is constructive, productive, right? So there's a very neat balance between just throwing anything you think versus how about we actually throw something that is more or less thoughtful, So we need to make sure it's kind of thoughtful. But then once you guys read who is throwing what, you need to know who you're talking to, right? So you need to know who is the person in front. How kind of is that a council member? Is that a whale? How many GMVs they earned? It just gives a good. It's not that it's weighing down. If I'm level 1, level 25 is the highest level. If I'm level 1, then my opinion doesn't matter. No, it's the other way around. If you're level 25, you have to be really responsible for what you write. That's the message. The higher rank, the more responsibility you have. It's a Spider-Man, a greater power leads to greater responsibility. Not the other way around. It's conversely. If you're level 2, you're not very much invested. You have GMVs and you're part of the network, part of the community. But if you're level 25, you're level 20, oh my God, you have a lot of responsibility. You really do. And then the question is how many level 25s participate in the group, right? So that's a way to just really, really, really maximize engagement and just seek for more responsibility from levels that are high up. That's the whole point, right? It does not mean that, if I'm level 25, I have to be, a hacker who knows how to operate a fucking Mac computer. No. It doesn't mean that way. Of course, you don't have to be techie, but you have to be responsible for what you write. And conversely, if you're level 6, we really want to hear from you. Because how many level 25s do we have? Right? Maybe 20 people? Maybe 30 people? But we need level 6s. We need level 7s. And how do we make sure that you're level 6? How do we help you increase to level 10? How do we create incentive mechanisms for you to really become a bigger holder of the network? The bigger shareholder of the network, right? So that's the point, right? The point is seek for more responsibility from those higher up and help bring more level 1s, level 2s, level 3s, and then upgrade them to level 10s, right? That's the whole point. And it's going to be it's going to happen natural. That's why the idea is so genius. And Zafiro, thank you so much for appreciating it. We also love, Cosmos we should have done this before. Question from Zafiro. How do you verify if people are honest in how many GMVs they have? So, we've been thinking about either doing that verification or not. Chances are everybody's going to be honest. Now, question, are we trustless or not trustless? Well, here's the thing. This currently is a pretty off-chain task to update the moderator status, which is done by the owners of the group. So therefore, the status can be changed. And let's assume somebody decided to, lie and increase the number of tokens they have, or maybe they just miscalculated it. Well, they can say, sorry, I screwed up. Here's my real value. What we could do at some point of time is verification. How? Every single person goes ahead and sends their number of JMBs, and they also send their wallet address. And then we check, right? The wallet address that contains GMLs. Problem with that is some members have more than one wallet address, and we don't want to do the KYC. Like, really don't want to do the KYC. Like, well, it's not the KYC per se, but it's like, oh, we don't trust you, like this and that. We fully agree that maybe there has to be some type of verification, but at this point of time, it could be a little bit extra, because why would people avoid it? Like, why would people, lie? Like, what's the point, right? But yes, of course, like maybe we'll add some type of verification, like, hey, like let's check your wallet address and just check how many GML, like what's the balance of your GMLs under this address. Because that's pretty much public information, right? Because it's all on Ghost NFT. So once you have the address, you can easily go to Ghost NFT, go to that specific GML token ID that you discover through the Blockchain Explorer, and then you can see how many tokens are, how many GMVs are attached to this GML. So the verification is possible, but so are level downgrades possible too? The level downgrades are only possible if the number of GMVs that you earned dropped. So let's assume you had 2,000 JMVs, you lost 1,000 JMVs by playing the dice unsuccessfully. I'm playing the freaking. I know a couple of people who made so much money on the freaking slot machine. My God, like they made so much freaking money. It's crazy. They just got so lucky. It's crazy. And the thing about slot machine is you maximize. So like you have 2,000 JMVs, you play it, you can have like, if you're lucky, you can have like 6,000 JMVs. It's crazy. Or of course you can lose. So it's just a risky thing to do. But yes, you can lose. And if you do lose, then you just send us an updated JMVs. That's why when we are going to be sending some type of the swap, we have to, kind of like every single swap we do, we'll have to like ask the community to resend us the updated balance. So we update with the level. And if the balance updates, the user can just say, hey, my level updated, right? Like please update it in the whales, and we will do that. But what it brings accountability to how many GMVs you actually have. And when we say, hey, each GMV is projected to be $50 if you guys help us, if the network has 100 nodes. Okay, cool. That's cool. Let me bring 100 people, because it's just like the brain starts working better when you can see the incentive right there, right? When you see like, oh, I have 1,000 GMVs, I can earn another 1,000 GMVs right now. That's 2,000. Oh, let me bring more people because the price will grow, at least the theoretical price. Oh, that will be cool. So now everybody's incentivized to help the network grow. Now, there are a couple of issues, and those issues will be resolved. And again, that whole idea with the guide and everything will be fully announced sometime this upcoming week, I believe. Okay, so this is the website that most of you never visited. That's at jml.ghostchain.io. It will also be added to the guides. It's public. It's been public for years. Who created this website? The dev team and Cosmos. Okay, so it's been there forever. You click here. That's where you can claim the GML. Now, you go back, and you don't see my header, but essentially I go to attributes. And here's a little bit of a problem. That's where the problem begins. The problem begins because the collection is hosted by IPFS, and that's why the images don't load fast. And since we do not ping, and the community did not ping the GML collections for quite some time, like these NFTs load, but it's supposed to be I think 5 NFTs per row, but only 3 loaded, because those NFTs have been pinged. But when you go down, you see a lot more. So if you all start checking this page, gml.ghostchain.io, it will be automatically pinging those PNGs from IPFS, and those images will start loading faster. So what you need to do is also figure it out yourself. So we have different phases, as you guys remember. Phase 1 is Genius, then phase 2 Degen, phase 3 Skeleton, phase 3 Zombies, phase 4 Skeleton, and then phase 5 Ghost. Right? And each one of these phases is coordinated with the amount of GMVs. And we try to explain this to people, but I believe that most of you guys still don't know that this is true. I'm not sure that you know. Let me just paraphrase it one more time. So the more GMVs you have, the higher is your balance under your GML, the higher is the level, and the level will change automatically. So if all of a sudden you are level 4, your NFTs will be just from the skeleton. Like we have a separate, like essentially it's not one collection, it's 5 collections. This collection of genius, collection of G-gens, collection of zombies, collection of skeletons, collection of ghosts. There are 5 different collections. And your collection will automatically change. Your NFT will automatically change once you add more GMVs to your GML. That's how it happens. So when you calculate your total number of GMVs, both off-chain and on-chain, that's your range right here. And you can say, hey, let's assume I have 2,500 GMVs. Cool. I am level 6. Phase 2. I am level 6. And what is my phase? What's the description of the phase? The phase 2 is Degen. So I'm Degen level 6. And that's what we're going to add to your status. So that's why it's very important to also have, ideally, a separate Telegram that is not connected to your main Telegram. Because some people put their main Telegram, they're communicating from their main Telegram. Council members have been communicated multiple times to switch to the anonymous Telegram. So those of you who are under anonymous Telegram, you are fine. Just change your avatar. If you are not able to get your avatar from a GML because GML is not going to load, just go to this website, GML. It will be provided. And you'll be able just to grasp, for now, whatever the GMLs that load. And then later on, once everybody, all of us, ping this ping this website, ping this IPFS, a lot more images will start loading, and chances are your image will start loading as well. So you'll just take your image from your actual image. Before your image is taken, just go ahead and just take it from that specific phase. Phase 5, right here. Just to summarize one more time, right? So we have 5 phases, and each phase has 5 levels. So your goal is to pick one phase avatar and then identify the level. We can help you identify the level once you tell us your GMV balance, right? So 5 levels in phase 1, 5 levels in phase 2, 5 levels in phase 3, etc. It's been there forever. This collection, I believe, is one of the most genius collections, but we just didn't explain it well. And lots of you guys don't even know that this exists. So, but it existed like since the very beginning. That's why it took so much time to actually do it. I am again, massive kudos to Cosmos for designing this collection, and massive kudos to the dev team for freaking programming the whole thing back in the day with Ghost NFT launch back in February last year. Okay. This full guide will be provided. What you can do right now is change your avatar based on the GMVs. So once you do that, and once you send us a message, we will update your status, moderator status in the Whales, so everybody knows who you are. And the full instructions will be provided sometime next week. But if you don't want to wait, you can do those 2 things already. Calculate your GMV balance, off-chain, on-chain, change the avatar, and message to the airdrop bot the balance. And we'll proceed from there. Let me respond to questions and we're done. Zephyr, are levels only depend on GMV level, or also on other things like participation? Levels only depend on GMV. Only GMV. Very, very, very straightforward. The more GMV you have, the higher the level. So Zephyr, I think I spoke to you yesterday. I think if the balance, like if you could respond to me, but if your balance is what your balance is, just change the GM, like just change the your avatar, like just take any one of these and you should be good. Jason, this concept is commendable. Thank you so much. What is the URL for that site? The URL for that site, let me copy and paste this right away to the Whales. But again, GML website. But again, the full instructions will come out. We just want to prepare the community before this, and I hope, and you guys will see, and we will make a decision. But I think it will make the community more united, inside of Whales, because we'll know who we are. We'll all understand that we're all part of the same thing, and new members will be encouraged to also follow that process, and you guys will help them encourage. We'll encourage other members to also follow that process. Therefore, it's all going to be great. Last thing to discuss, but we're not going to be discussing. I'll just put it out there. We need to please continue the discussion on the Ghost Africa. Is it Ghost Africa? Is it Ghost Nigeria? Is it Ghost Algeria, is it ghost? Libya, is it ghost? Egypt. So is it an African continent altogether, or it's separate countries? So we need to figure out what it is, and we also need to figure out, is it a closed community, meaning like Ghost Whales, it's slightly closed, slightly permission, so you claim JML, then you invite it, or is it an open community like the general community, in which case we could add a thread, separate thread, say Ghost Africa, and then how many people will be there. So some of the comments I've read is that we are potentially a little bit too early, because we're just too early, we just don't have enough people yet, or maybe not. So it's for you guys to decide, for us to decide together. So those of you guys who represent the African continent, please engage this discussion in the Whales. Do not be afraid. Please, 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 because it will be great to potentially start our first regional group. We did have a regional group before, by the way, but that group only collected like 13 people, so we paused on that group. That group is not active right now. But would be nice to have a regional group for sure, if you guys can facilitate the consistent increase in users to that group. Okay, so let's discuss that. Let's discuss the incentives. Thank you so much. Today was very productive. Really appreciate your time. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.